What's going on? What's going on, people? This your boy Jay Gibson, CEO and co-founder of Boss Talk Nation. And I'm also the $1 Million Manager. And I'm also the new face of finance. So get used to it. And tonight we got a very special show. Last week we gave the boss ladies a salute. You know what I'm saying? We definitely had some quality gems that got dropped as far as what to do in the game and how to get respected and everything that's going on as far as our sisters. So you know I had to double back and go get the bras, right? So we got some definitely some fine, distinguished gentlemen coming on tonight. Some people that I call mentors, people that that I've watched over the years, and some other brothers from the other side, of the tracks that can tell from their side of the story as well. So make sure you share this. Make sure you leave a comment. Wherever you're watching this, we on Facebook, we on YouTube, and then it re-airs on a bunch of different networks. Big shout out to Just Jay, the Hype Magazine Network, and other places where you're going to see this. So make sure you tune in. But for right now, and I got a special surprise for y'all tonight too, but we're going to start off how we always start off with that intro. This is Boss Talk Nation. Y'all know what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. Make sure if you want to hit us up, 844-700-BOSS. That's 844-700-BOSS. So you can text us, 844-700-2677. But let's get to the intro and let's start the show. It's going down. It's going down. This is your boy, Jay Gibson, and I'm in the building for another week of your favorite show, Boss Talk. You know what it is. So coming to the stage first is a good brother, man, from the state of New Jersey. He's been doing this thing for years. Like I said, this is a guy that really shows leadership in the community who, has always exemplified the example of what it takes to exhibit manhood. So, I had to bring him through Boss Talk. I got my brother, Rashon Mickens, in the building. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, people? What's up, good people? What's up, Jay? Thanks for having me, brother.
Definitely, man. We had to have you come through, man. And man, you looking fresh, man. You looking like you just stepped out the barbershop, bro. What's going on, man?
Little something. Had to get fresh to death for the show tonight, man. Got to make sure we represent and do it the right way, man. Got to show that you look the part, right? You got to look the part.
That's what it is, man. I mean, you always definitely, bring your A game to the table. So let the people know who don't know you around the country, around the world, who you are, what you do, and why you exhibit manhood in the modern era.
No doubt. Thanks, Jay. My name is Rashon Mickens. As Jay mentioned, I grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I came up in an era where I can definitely say that the role models or the men that we mentioned weren't as present as I would have liked, or a lot of people would have liked for them to be. So, growing up, I knew that was something that I wanted to establish, right? So I didn't see a lot of role models in my neighborhood, in the area that I came from. So I said, you know what? When I get older, I'm going to take it to another level. I want to be that example for younger kids. And that's exactly what I did. So, when I came up, I played ball and used that as the catalyst to propel me to greater things in life. And I decided to go into the field of education because that's where I found my true meaning and true calling, was to reach out to kids and make sure that they were empowered and I was a positive influence in their life as well. And I just said, hey, let's take this to a new level. And I taught and did that for a few years. And I said, I'm going to take it to another level. And then I became an administrator. And that's when things really began to change as far as leadership went, man, because I had really an opportunity to just influence the masses. I had a lot of authority. I had a lot of, if you will, people that were just counting on me to make sure that, I did what's right. So I was in that spotlight. And as a principal, I was able to just impact change across the board, right? I was able to influence kids. I was able to influence adults. And that just propelled me to becoming the leader that I am today. because I saw the impact that I had in the lives of so many people. And people would come to me, Jay, and say, man, really, like the things that you're doing at that school with the students and with the staff members is just phenomenal. It's phenomenal because people really, really see the difference in your leadership qualities and what you're doing to make sure that people understand the importance of education, making sure that people understand, the importance of just collaboration and putting community first and making sure that everything that you set out to do, your goals are accomplished. And that's something I just made sure that I instilled every day when I walked into that building when I was a principal. And that's just what I carried with me today. Even now, I'm a principal leader. So I influence and try to make sure I help principals now in my role now to become better principals, better leaders. And that's what I do. And I learned that throughout my journey as an educator, man, throughout my journey as a principal. And this is why I stand today. And that's why I take this so seriously, that leadership role and that manhood role, because again, I go back to, I didn't see a lot of it. So I take that to heart. So I make sure that kids see today that I'm a role model. I'm a positive influence in their lives. And my kids in my house as well, I tell them the same, dad's going to be there and dad's going to make sure that you have, so forth and so on. But not only that, I want to make sure that they understand the true meaning of leadership, the true meaning of being a man, the true meaning of being a role model. So you have to talk it and you have to walk it. I mean, if you're going to be about it, you have to be about it. And that's what I'm about. So, I'm glad I have an opportunity today to express that on this platform, Jay. And I'm ready, man. Let's go.
Nah, definitely, man. That's a powerful, powerful intro, man. I mean, I think back to, over the years watching you do your thing and all the way from Elizabeth High School, past that to college. And we're going to get into some of that tonight because I got some of the other brothers, coming through. I got one in the green room. We're going to get him on in a minute. Big shout out to Deandre Carter. And, I got my dude is coming through too in a minute. So we're going to get to all the EHS, highlights. But for first thing comes to mind is that you were a point guard, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I ran that point.
Right.
Ran it.
And I think that has transitioned into your leadership skills in your professional life because what most people don't understand, it takes a certain mentality to exhibit leadership. And most of the time that means is people who are focused on others before they even think about themselves sometimes. And based on everything that you've been doing, being on the ground with the children and the youth, getting scholarship opportunities and stuff. Talk about some of that as far as just exposing our youth to opportunities, right? And me being a youth, just to touch on it personally, like, I have certain family members and being part of, different athletic programs allowed us to travel and go see different parts of the country and see, there's a world outside of Elizabeth. And I think for people can resonate with this, whether you're from St. Louis, we had brothers from Compton on here a couple weeks ago, anywhere in the country, it's the same scenario. So just touch on the fact of the exposure to other, walks of life, to other opportunities and the impact that has on the youth.
Well, it has a huge impact, Jay. I mean, for starters, I use myself as an example. As you mentioned, playing sports and just really getting a chance to connect with other people, and that's what really helped me, right? Sports did so much for me. It did so much because it just allowed me to really have an understanding of team, that team concept, right? And when I was playing, and I played that role as a point guard, and I was the leader out there, and I had really an opportunity to kind of dictate what was going on out there, right? So I want to keep it there for a second. So in me doing that, and in that role, it really allowed me to blossom as a person, not only as a basketball player, but as a true leader. And I'm glad you mentioned that because that's what really gave me the confidence to be a leader, right? Because when I had that ball in my hand and I was the guy running the show, the coach looked at me as the second coach on that court. So whatever he did and whatever he told the guys to do on the court, I was an extension of that, right? So I was an extension of let's play hard. He told me to play hard. I made sure that I played hard, and the other people on my team saw that as an example that they had to follow. If it was, bring the ball up the court and get it to the man that's open, I had to do that as the point guard. And it was a lot put on my shoulders to do that. So it was accountability that was played a major part in becoming a profound leader as well. So it all started there. But with the traveling thing is then growing confidence. I was able to go different places and meet different people through my travels with playing basketball, and the people that I connected with, really gave me a different outlook on life, right? Like, so I've been all across the world playing, right? And because I had that opportunity through sports, it just opened up so many avenues for me. You talk about building confidence, getting outside your comfort zone, going to different countries, going to different states. I mean, that was like an eye-opening experience. And I think what sports does for the young youth today is, even more so than when we played, is they have, I would say, a lot more opportunities to explore what's out there. You can't be so boxed in to the point where this is all I know. These are my surroundings. I'm comfortable. Listen, you have to make sure that you find a space, of course, that you're comfortable in, but don't be afraid to get outside that comfort zone. And that's what I did. And I would say that a lot of youth today are experiencing the same thing. The only difference is, I would say, from when we played and what's going on now is they just have a lot more people in their ear, right? So they have to be cognizant of that, like who they're taking advice from, who they're listening to, who has their best interest at heart, so forth and so on. So they have to be cognizant of that. But the same thing applies, right? Like, if you're confident in your abilities and those leadership qualities, then it can take you to, places unseen and unheard. And the youth today, I leave that with them. Just make sure that, you make sure that you utilize your gifts that you're given and those qualities that you're given to just go and take this to another level, right? So, it's so much to see out there, so much to get involved in. And this just opens up so many doors for you through sports, right? So I'm grateful for it. And I know a lot of youth can speak to this as well, that they're grateful for the opportunities that they've been given, and just take advantage of it. Every opportunity you get to explore, to network, to go somewhere else outside of your community, different country, different state, take advantage of those opportunities, because it will benefit you immensely in the long run. It will.
Definitely, man. And like I said, everything that you've been doing, as far as, and big shout out to Tank too. He shouted you out. He said you've
My
been
man
running,
Tank.
you know what I mean, been running point guard since batting, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to
Yes, sir. My man Tank. What's up, Tank? Dr. Tank in the building. My man's doing great things, man.
yeah,
Dr. Tank's doing amazing things. Appreciate him. Our
yeah,
brethren from Eastwick.
it's going down. Now I got another brother that's going to join the conversation. This guy's a certified speaker. He's a leader in the community, and he's somebody who tells people to demand greatness. So I want to bring my brother Deandre Carter to the panel. What's going on, bro?
What's going on? How y'all feeling?
Good,
All
good.
right, bro.
Good. Well, glad to be in the building. Excited about the opportunity to share tonight and just inspire people to be the best version of themselves. Because if there's any year we know we need to do that, it's 2021, right? After what 2020
Yes, sir.
Had in store for us.
Definitely, man. So for the people, I mean, you've been on the show before, but tonight is really, the focus is on manhood in the modern era.
Okay.
And I wanted, you somebody who always, when I look, up and down the timeline, you're putting that positive vibes, but you also giving people directions. You're giving people instructions. You're telling them, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to look at yourself and the world outside of yourself. So just give the people a brief intro of who you are, how you make impact every day, and why you tell people to demand greatness.
Okay, just to keep it simple, I'm a skinny black kid from the streets of Detroit who believed that he had the ability to impact the world on a global level, and just believed that despite my circumstances, despite my beginnings, that my ending could be so much greater and so much better. And I took actions that symbolize that. So I was listening to brother, is it Rashon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I
sir.
listen to brother Rashon being in the field of education, and that's so critical, because if it were not for the path of education and the ability to get a scholarship in middle school that dependent upon my high school performance allowed me to go to college, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today, because those doors open new possibilities for me. I was born in the inner city of Detroit. So sometimes when people say they're from certain cities, they're talking about the suburbs or surrounding areas. I'm talking about the hood, right? I have an 11-year-old daughter. She will know nothing about that life just because her mom and I moved so far from it. But one time I took her back to the city and drove down the block. She's like, "You used to live here?" I was like, "Yeah, that house right there, and then there was, spots on the block where it used to be houses there, not even houses there anymore. And so it was, the neighborhood was kind of run down compared to where we were, but that's where I came from. And those circumstances are what made me. That's what built the character within me to be resilient, to be tenacious, to have ambition, to have goals, understanding that where you are doesn't dictate where you want to be or where you can be. And so what I did is I made some decisions that I was going to take my life into my own hands. I was going to take advantage of opportunities. I was going to push forward towards what I wanted, and I was going to be constantly in pursuit of what it is that I feel like I'm gifted to do. And so over the years, I found out that my ability to inspire, educate, encourage, and motivate people to be their best is something that I'm gifted at. I didn't ask for it. I didn't apply for it. It's just in me. All right. Even like, I didn't get to have extensive experiences in youth sports, but like Rashon mentioned, when you're in sports, you see different parts of your personality pop out. And I was always the guy, whether we was playing pickup basketball, whether we were playing football, two-hand touch, or tackle if you go up to the field. One time we played on gravel. We was crazy. You ain't got to tell me. I know we was crazy. We played tackle on gravel. That's a whole different story. But I was always the guy hyping up my teammates, right? Come on, man, you can do it. Trying to identify their strengths. If he can't throw the ball, don't let him be the quarterback. If he can't run that fast, then have him run the short routes. Like, just inspiring people to be their best, mostly because I wanted to win. Like, I was like, how can I get the most out of this cat so that we can win this game? And so the most thing is in life that for us to win in life, we all need to be our best. And so I just realized that my ability to inspire people is what I bring to this world. And the term demand greatness came to me when I was trying to figure out the title for my first book. And I wanted to come up with a title that let people know you can be great, but you're going to have to work for it. You can be great, but it might be a challenge. And so I kept thinking, fight for greatness or fighting for success. And, it didn't resound right. It didn't hit me right. And then one night I went to sleep, and in my dream, it came to me in a dream. And somebody said, what you got to do is you got to demand greatness. And demand greatness is simple. Demand greatness simply means being greater than your greatest challenges, being your best, not somebody else's best. I can't be your best, Jay. Rashon, I can't be your best. I can only be my best. But when I'm being my best, I'm demanding greatness. And so that's what I push people to realize, is that the greatness that's already in you just needs the demand placed on it to come out of you.
Definitely. I mean, that was powerful, man. That was definitely powerful. And I want to commend you for what you do, because you're a person. A lot more opportunities to explore. Hold on one second. That might be some playback. But yeah, I want to commend you for what you're doing, man, because you're really making an impact in the community. And I was going to tell you what you're saying, you being from the D. I've been to 7 Mile, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Hey. Yeah.
I mean, we stayed on 7 Mile for 3 days. Rashon knows my good brother Wally Dixon, and he took us.
No doubt.
Yeah, he took us on the road, man. We went to 30 cities, and one of those cities was Detroit. And the night of the game was when they had the actual protest with the NAACP convention, right?
Oh,
and
wow.
This is a funny story. So we out there, and we used to have the pregame going on before the actual game. So we would be out in front of the arena, and they had the pickup games, they had the music, and we was part of the entertainment. So we had our own little section, everything. We do the little pregame joint and get all the promotion, and then the NAACP was there, so they was having a convention in the convention center. You know what I mean? And they come down the block, and it's like, we protesting, we shutting this down, the N-word, all this. And I said, well, we down with that, we down with you. But I said, this is a black-owned business. You feel what I'm saying?
That's right.
Y'all shutting us down. And, man, we out here just like you. So it was hilarious, man. But, it turned out to be really good. And, it was a good time, man. So getting into, a little more deeper into the topic, what I wanted to kind of pose this question is, do you feel in the community we have enough respect for people who are father figures? Because like you touched on it earlier, a lot of people, even if your father was in your life personally, in the community, you don't have a lot of examples, right?
Mm.
And so you have a lot of coaches, you have a lot of community leaders and people that might be through the church and all of that. Big shout out to my bro Shon. He just stepped in the building. You know what I mean? He chowing down some pizza. I'm gonna get on with it in a minute, but it's all good. It's all good here in the building. But you know, I'll let him chime in on this topic too. Matter of fact, let's get him on. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, what up, baby? What's cracking? Mick, what's up, baby?
What's up, bro? What's up, cuz? How are you, man?
I'm chilling, man. Good to see you, baby.
I see you. Always, brother. Always. Love.
Yes, sir. All day, man. That's Cuzzo right there.
It. Jake Absolutely, man.
Hey, man. I told him. I said, I got the bros coming through, man. I said I was gonna wait for the EHS highlight reel till I get both of y'all.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
You know, I got all the old footage, but I'm just bugging out. But I was talking about Shon.
Yeah.
Where'd Deandre go? He ran. He
cool. He fixing something in the back. He coming.
Okay.
Yeah. He whipping up something for us.
You know what I mean? But you know, the topic is manhood in the modern era, right?
Yes, sir.
So we just came off of
Well, let me just ask you a question, bro. Like, is this are we laid back? Are we laid back?
Man, we kicking as the BossTalk Lounge.
Okay, so I can eat while we talk.
I mean, you can take a couple bites, man.
That's why I just want to make sure we good, baby.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you slide tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Get comfortable. Get your house shoes on, bro.
We're gonna keep family business, off the camera. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. For real though, on the real tip, we were talking about I brought up the topic of father figures.
Yep.
There's somebody who deals with fathers in your community and making an impact, and I'll let you speak on that. But I just wanted to throw the topic out there because there's a lot of people who are coaches, who are mentors, who are, community leaders who may not necessarily be the biological, but they're playing that impact, even if just by example. So in your profession and in your walk of life, speak to the people, about the impact of that, and then we can get more into the introductions and let everybody know who you are and why you are changing the game in your own way.
Yeah, statistics show when fathers are involved that children are like 10 times more likely to be successful, right? And when I'm talking about success, I'm talking about they miss those they miss the experiences that those children have that contemplate suicide, right? That drop out of school, that become more promiscuous, right? So when a pop is not involved or a male positive male role model, like a positive male role model can definitely change the game. But like there's no substitute for biological dad, not even stepdad. Right? Like not even stepdad can take that place. Now we need I froze for a minute, right?
You good.
We need to have more positive male role models in our communities. But bruh, like there's no substitute for biological dad. Like statistics speaks to that, right? Statistics speak to it. But when biological dad cannot be present, then it's it's extremely important for us as men in the community to step up. And one of my models for my organization, man, is that strong fathers create strong homes, right? And strong homes create strong communities. And that's the way that we do it, right? We strengthen families through fatherhood engagement. And that's that piece, bro. Like that's that piece. Like we as men need to take our rightful place to create a healthy space for kids to grow. Right. And that's what we need, bro.
Nah, definitely. So let the people know, who you are, and I could tell them all day, but it's better coming straight from the man himself, you know what I mean? And how you came into the profession and the calling, as you call the assignment that you have. And I think that's very powerful, and people need to hear that because they'll know why you're so committed to your goal.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I like when I was living in Jersey, man, I was like, and I can remember it was like yesterday, right? Like I was like 10, and one of my best friends at the time, he's no longer here, my boy Remy, right? Like Remy was always at my crib. And I remember I used to wax Remy's tail, bro, when it came to video games like Tecmo Bowl, bro. I used to murder him, right? Like that was that deal, man. And I used to pop him, man. And I remember, bro, like this one time when he was about to beat me, and it wasn't cool, right? I'm like, yo, this is my crib, it's my house rules. So what I wound up doing, Jay, is that I got up, man, from my seat, bro, and I hit that button that was on that video game. It was the power and the reset button. And I wound up hitting the reset button. It wasn't by mistake. It was on purpose. Right? I hit the reset button, right? Because I did not want to lose. But what I thought was a moment, what I thought was just like something that was just going to be for that time, it became a way of life to me, bro. Like every time things got difficult, your boy would hit the reset button. Right. When it came to me wanting to become the man who I know I was called to be, bro, I was finding ways to hit the reset button. And so when I went to work in the prison, bro, I'll tell you, man, I'll tell you the truth, bro. I was upset. I wasn't happy. So I was like, yo, if I go there and I have to work with these men, bro, I'm converting all they tell to Christianity. There's not going to be a Muslim walking, a Wiccan walking, a cat. They all being converted. But the funny thing about it, bro.
That's bold, brother. That's bold.
Listen, I was convinced. Yes, bro. But when I got there, it was very apparent that I wasn't sent there for them, bro. I was sent there for myself.
Right.
And I became the greatest servant. And I'm like, yo, I wasn't sent here to try to convert these people. I was sent there to serve. So when you saying, who is Shon Hart? How did I get to this place? Is because I hit the reset button over and over and over and over again. And I went to the prison and I found myself and I discovered and saw that so many men was incarcerated because there wasn't a father present. So that's where I was birthed. That's where I was born. That's where the movement began. Behind the walls, bro. When I found myself and those men helped me find me. And I said, yo, I'm indebted. I found my lane. Let's get this work.
Definitely, man. And that's a powerful story, man. And
powerful.
Like I said, I want to commend you on that because a lot of people, when I know you for a while, even before I knew you personally, I knew of you.
Yep.
Right. And it just when I came in contact with your book, right, From Average to Elite.
Yep.
And and like I said, me and you talk all the time. But what people don't know, and Rashon and I were talking not too long ago, we've been, talking behind the scenes for some years now. And when I found that book, I had just came into my opportunity to manage a team, right? And at the time when people first get the opportunity, I had managerial positions before, but this was a big opportunity, right? There's a lot of money on the table, a lot of responsibilities. And at first, you go into it gun ho. It's more like, it's almost like being a coach to being a player to being a coach.
Yep.
So you expect everybody to go as hard as you go, right? Because when I first came to that firm, and you do your interview, right? My man Deandre, he back. Let me get him back on the panel while I'm telling this story. We back. We got the bros in the building.
What up?
What's good? Hey, they couldn't see me, Shon. I
had to make sure he right.
They couldn't see you. I was listening to you. I was listening to you though.
Yeah, nah, we good. So, like I told you, when I first was getting that opportunity, and the man, he said, a lot of people we train them, they wishy-washy, blah, blah, blah. I told this man, I looked him dead in his eye, I said, I'll be here every day. Why? Because I had a mortgage to pay. You feel me?
That's right.
And so when he heard that, he saw it in my face. We all got that switch. And he saw it in my face, like, yo, this dude ain't play. Plus, I'm a big dude, right? Sometimes that come in handy, right? So he like, I better give him a job. He might choke me out.
He might choke me out, bro.
So I said, yo, I'll be here every day. So he was with it. He said, I'm going to give you the opportunity. Boom. About a year later, I had worked so hard that they was like, yo, this dude is a leader, right? And I commend, the person that at that time, they came to me and said, look, get this opportunity, get this experience, because you never know. When you get to your next spot, you're gonna be good, right? So I said, okay, cool, because I was fresh out of school at the time. So when I first came across your book, I was just getting that opportunity to be in a leadership role on a corporate level. And I sat back and I said, yo, man, I'm thinking I'm doing something, but people ain't listening, right? So I said, yo, well, I need to find some kind of something. I needed something to give me that energy, right? Of how to speak to other people to get the best out of them.
That's right.
So when I came across your book and I said, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. For the first year, bro, I hadn't finished the whole book. I got the first 3-4 chapters. I'm like, I'm good. I got what I need. You know what I'm saying? Let's hit the field, right? You know what I'm saying? But over the time, I went back to it, right? And just zoned in on certain things when I would get into certain situations. And, it changed my mindset. You feel me? And from that developed, for me hooking up with you and ESA and everything we got going on now, to right now, the Boss Talk today. I remember, a lot of people don't know this in the audience, but it's like we was doing this grinding. And then you hit a burnout. You hit the wall sometime. And you like, yo, man, I'm tired, man. I got to get this money. I'm over here. I'm like, yo, I'm going to get to that later. And Coach McCoy said, yo, man, what you doing, man? What's up with the Boss Talk, bro? Nah, all of that you doing, that's cool. But get back to the Boss Talk, right? So I said, you know what, man, he's right. I got to get back to the, you know what I mean? And this is a lesson for the youth that's going to see this. If you're watching tonight, drop a comment in there. If you mentor young men, you need to be sharing this tape because it's going to be some powerful. We ain't even get started yet. We just warming up. But the point I want to make is when somebody gives you advice that has your best interest at heart, you need to take it, because people have been down the road that you going, and they trying to give you some shortcuts or give you that guidance so that you can take it to the next level. And I just want to commend you on that. And so ever since then, it's been go mode. Everything is going because I relate to my people, and they know that I'm a voice, right?
What's up, man?
And just today in my email inbox was that advance. You feel what I'm saying?
Let's go.
So, and that's in the pandemic. You feel me? So everything that I, just wanted to give you, your props and your flowers publicly, because what people don't understand is a lot of people out here, they selling courses, they doing this, and I'm not knocking nobody. But if you want somebody who's really going to care about what you got going on and help you get to the next level, even if sometimes it's something you don't want to hear, hit this brother up, man. Hit Shon Hart up. You know what I'm saying? I know Deandre, now he just got back on the panel. Let's get you in the conversation. So what we were talking about is father figures and people who may not be biological, but they're in the community, and maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's an uncle, somebody who just show you the world outside of your neighborhood, as you say, from the D. So did you have any mentors in your life? And then we'll swing back to Rashon.
Detroit basketball.
Right. So for me, for sure, definitely had some mentors. My dad, my biological dad, was always somebody important in my life. He was in prison though he went to prison when I was 6. And so he was in there for 18 years. So as far as my childhood, he was not there at all. And that was very difficult, as you can imagine, growing up, again, in the hood. There's a lot to be challenged with. And as a young Black boy, we are always subconsciously and sometimes consciously, but no matter what, we're seeking that male father figure out of somebody. And so now, it was so many little factors, basketball coaches, right? I remember when I was in middle school, I played for the, everybody on the west side. I remember it was called Barney McCoskey, and it was this little, basketball league. And I looked up to the coaches in that league. But the first father figure that really stood out to me was actually a guy who had my last name. His name was Carter, Coach Carter. He was my track coach, and big dude, deep voice, boy. He always called me boy, right? And it's crazy that I yearned for that, right? I wanted to. Sometimes I'll be real with you. Sometimes I made mistakes just so he could yell at me, because I wanted that male attention. I wanted him to. And the construct of our team is that we were mostly made up of sprinters, and I ran distance. So our sprint team, we went 5 or 6 deep. Them boys could fly. And as far as distance, I was the best distance, but we didn't have like a whole relay team. We didn't have that depth. And so what was crazy about it is that a lot of times I didn't get that attention. So I do stuff like come late to the strength training sessions, just say, boy, you need to be in here. And I just wanted him to stand out. I wanted him to say something, right? And he was the first one. And then when I went to college, I ran to many, many more. But it was my high school track coach for me that really stood out as somebody that I respected, somebody I felt like cared about me. He would ask me questions about my future. And that was critical for me at that point in my life.
Right, definitely. That's powerful, man. Now I got two new brothers that's coming to the stage. You know what I mean? Both of these brothers are very, very impactful in their lanes. I got my man Zaire Baptiste. This guy is next level. When I tell you he's doing everything from television to augmented reality, I'll let him introduce himself. And then I got my man CEO Ish. He's definitely making waves all through social media, all in real life. And he's gonna tell you why he's a boss, man. He's a boss you need to be watching. But first, let me get to my man Zaire. Introduce yourself to the people. Just let them know who you are. Another one of my brothers that's been giving me mentorship, man. This is special for me tonight. So I just want you to speak to who you are and you know how you impact the culture with what you're doing in the brands and the moves you're making, bro. Let the people know what's going on with you.
I think first off, I just want to say peace to all the brothers on the panel. It's always good to have a bunch of positive brothers moving everything forward, no matter what it is, education, culture, whatever, spirituality, just moving things forward. And myself, like I feel like I've been blessed to be put in a spot where I can help other brothers as well. And like Jay said, I've been like a serial entrepreneur for quite some time, and you know I've done a lot of work in the film and television field, a lot of work in the customer experience field, which leads to augmented reality, virtual reality. I always try to stay a step ahead of what's going on. So I'm very much technology based, but a creative as well. I come from the art space. My mother was an artist. She taught me, and all of those things kind of contributed to the total package that, you know, like the rest of you brothers that are on the panel, just being able to look at the brothers that's coming up and be able to give them those pieces of information that they need. Because a lot of times, and I know a bunch of us here, we didn't have every piece some crucial pieces of information that would have made our journey a little bit different. But so I'm always looking to provide that kind of information to people, you know, no matter what. I think that's important. I think sharing information is one of the most important things that we have amongst in our community, and sometimes we don't always do it. So I'm glad to be in a panel of brothers who we're all going in the same direction of sharing information, inspiring and motivating.
Definitely, man. And we're going to definitely get into everything you got going on as we continue the conversation. Let me get my man CEO Ish to the stage. Introduce yourself to the people, man. You're definitely making moves out there. You're showing leadership. You're doing your thing. So let the people know who you are and what you bring into the conversation tonight.
No doubt. First of all, thank you so much for having me. My name is CEO Ish. My name is Ishmael. That's my stage name, CEO Ish. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have 4 different businesses. A few of my businesses and the things that I do in the community, I have Blessinaire Apparel, which is a luxury clothing line. It means blessed millionaire. Besides Blessinaire Apparel, I'm a celebrity publicist for a lot of different celebrities, from Young LA, Jose Guapo, A-Town, The Birds Are Chirping, Bull Bullet from the Harlem Globetrotters. I do a lot with different celebrities. Besides that, I also do Airbnb. I'm a wealth coach. I teach people how to attain wealth, but not just make money, because you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not happy with the way you're living, if you don't have the full package, what is money, right? So I teach people how to manifest your ideal life through the law of attraction, right? Vision boards, writing down things. So JoJo Simmons and I just dropped a video on YouTube. Type in CEO-ish, just like it's spelled here, and you'll see the video we dropped. It's called King's Talk. You know, we are kings. We're all kings, right? And we're giving knowledge. So on King's Talk, we teach on how to manifest the dream life that you want, the things that you want to manifest into your life. Besides that, I also have a mentoring group. I teach people those same lessons. I have a free mentoring group because I'm all about giving back to the community. I'm all about sharing my knowledge. You know, you can have the knowledge, but if you don't apply it, it gets you nowhere, you know? So I'm big on keeping God first, applying the knowledge, and just sharing, right? Because again, a lot of times people like to hold everything in and hold it to yourself, but it's about sharing and impacting your community and things like that. And, you know, empowering people. Other than that, like I said, I do Airbnb, and there's a lot of different things I do. So just tap in with me. I'm glad to be on here. Check me out on Instagram, CEO_ish with 3 H's, or just Google CEO ish. Thank you for having me.
Definitely, and we're gonna be you know, tapping into what you have, because you have a lot of knowledge and you're doing a lot of things. So
Appreciate
we're
it.
going to definitely get into that. But just to bring it full circle, my brother Rashon, I wanted to speak to you because, you know, your area of expertise per se is education. So earlier you talked about, you know, getting that opportunity to travel the world with your gift, right? Which at that time was playing basketball, right? So us, you know, being brothers, right? Going across the world is a different perception of us, some positive, some negative. You being somebody that I know that's well traveled, could you speak on how you perceive the reception of being a black man traveling around the world, you know, and what did you see as far as different areas where they showed you love, and, you know, some places where you might have been like, yo, it's a little funny style on this side of the track. So can you speak to that?
No doubt, no doubt. Well, I could definitely say is, you know, me being blessed with that gift that you mentioned, Jay, you know, gave me these opportunities, right? Gave me these opportunities to travel the country, travel the world, and I was blessed. But some of the things that I witnessed or that I was associated with, for example, when I played, I started my college career at Wichita State University. We start there in Kansas, right? And it was a different experience for me, right? So I went out there. I'm an inner city kid from Jersey, and I went out there to Cowland, right? So that's what they call it. It was a different experience for me because, you know, I wasn't accustomed to the way in which people live there, right? So, you know, I would come with my East Coast swag, man, and you know, fatigues on, Timberland boots, and they thought I was nuts. They're like, who's this guy? He's coming from the East Coast, and, you know, he's portraying this role as a war veteran or something like that. I was a war veteran, man, because I wore the fatigues all the time, you know. I'm like, nah, it's just the East Coast swag, man. So it was different because I got kind of discriminated against, right? So I was ousted a lot because I was just different. I was from the East. I had that swag about myself, and, you know, I was all about that. And they weren't. They were like, this guy's weird. This guy's different. Keep us away from this guy. So I had some problems with my teammates, right? Because I'm like, I'm not going to change who I am and my identity. I'm comfortable in my skin and who I am. I'm not going to change for anyone. So I didn't. So I had problems with that because guys wanted me to, I guess, you know, conform and be who they were. So they're like, look, you're in a different area. You're in a different space. You need to get with the program. And I was different. I said, look, I'm not going to change who I am because you guys don't like the way I am. And who I am and the person that you see is what got me to this point that I am today. So we had some problems early on. It wasn't until they started to realize that, yo, this cat from the East Coast is a pretty cool guy, and, you know, we need to probably, you know, bring this guy in because he can help the team. It wasn't until they understood that, you know, wow, you know, this guy's not bad. And then the relationship started to shift a little bit. Then I had guys walking around with army fatigues and Timberland boots who were from Kansas. That's a story, a different story for another day. But so that's an example, right? And then through my travels, man, I was able to, I would say, go to certain places and be an influence to people. You know, I played across seas. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I played pro ball. I was in England for a little bit, and that was a different experience over there too. You know, because here I am, a young man from the States. You know, it's like when you're in a foreign land, man, and you're accustomed to things being a certain way, and then you find out that they're not. You know, it's like it's the shock, right? So it was a culture shock for me. So it was very difficult for me my first, I would say, month or so there when I was in England, just to get adjusted to the culture and the way that they were living there. But after a while, you know, even my teammates, they started to really understand the type of person I was, and they understood that I was about being a teammate. I was genuine. I was giving. I wanted to support them. You know, I wanted them to excel. on the basketball court and in life. So I was that one to constantly tell the brothers that were on my team, and these guys I had a couple guys from England that were on the team. I had a couple guys from the States that were on my team. I had one guy from the Czech Republic that was on the team. So it was different cultures, different personality types. But I was always that guy to reel everyone in and tell them, look, whatever you're doing, you shouldn't do that. All right, let's bring it in. We don't want to do this. This can cause trouble for us all. So I was that positive guy that thought with a positive outlook. So I was known as that guy. Like, you don't want to do anything around him because he's going to get on you. Remember, we talked about leadership, and that was some of the leadership qualities I possessed. And to this day, like, if you're doing something I don't particularly care for, I know that's going to jeopardize you and your future, I'm going to tell you about it. You shouldn't do that. Let's do it this way because this way is going to benefit you. So that's the things that I was able to do and able to turn I would say the mindset of people that were there with me in those particular places, from thinking I was one type of person because maybe perhaps the perception of how I looked was, he's a different guy, he's a little gangster or whatever, I don't know, but they thought about me one way, and once they got to know me, that perception changed quickly, and they understood that I was a real dude, and I was able to be of an influence and be impactful in their lives. And again, that just transfers over to what I do today as a leader, man. I take it from there and bring it to where I am today, and it's just a perfect marriage, man. So yeah, that was some of the things that I was able to experience along my walks with playing basketball. Just being that influence of change, definitely, for sure.
Definitely. And what I wanted to stay right on that topic of being basically the one person that's in the room that can come back to the tribe and let us know what's going on. So I wanted to swing it right back real quick to my man Zaire, right? So being that a lot of people don't know, you introduced yourself briefly, but you really don't know, right? So talk about being in those rooms as far as dealing what you deal with in television and media, and being somebody in the business world who may be the only one that looks like us in the room. Can you speak to that, kind of what Rashon was saying as far as being that person as an outsider and then having to show your skills and show your character to win over the crowd?
Yeah, I think it started like that in some spaces because they see you as one way, like Rashon was saying. But once you got in the room, like I strategize in everything I do. So that's what might look like a negative is my plus, because I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna spin this whole angle and I'm gonna make it work for me. And I've been able to do that. So yeah, you end up sitting in those rooms, but then you end up coming with you bring a value in that space. One thing that's been going on for quite some time is there is a exclusion of us in certain spaces, but you can get in the room and produce that value that makes them look for more of you. And that's what I've been working. That's the angle that I've been working. And one thing I've been able to do in like the last 5 years, I've been able to create a sector where people pay for ideas and not pay for the work. I charge you for the idea, and then you can manifest it yourself, but you're going to pay me for the thought. And that is a space that very few people live in, white or black, anybody, because how the system is set up, they make you have to produce something. You have to have something tangible for them to pay.
And then give them half of it.
That's it. So the space that I negotiated and try to come up with and stay in, one of the main lanes I stay in is just the curation of ideas, and then the solicitation of those ideas, the sale of those ideas. Now, if you want me to come on and produce those ideas, that's another thing. But once you get in the room and those unique perspectives that you add, they can't duplicate those. Yep. And no matter what, you can take one, but you really have to like think on their level. They're thinking long term. So instead of just getting one thing out of you and letting you go, yeah, they could copy that one, but they want more. So you kind of string them along the same way they've been doing. And it's interesting because what I do is I try to go in positions where we can, and I say ourselves as people of color, as black men, where we can go in a room and we can turn something, where we can turn a dial And if they want that to happen again, they have to come back to us and do it. And I think we've given that away so many times.
Yep.
We've given the dial turn away. We're the numbers on the dial, but the ability to turn it, we give it away. So I've been trying to hold that, and that's really part of that narrative. So when you do get in the room, they can't get rid of you. They can't. You make yourself you make yourself that valuable that they can't get rid of you.
Yep.
Definitely. And now I'm gonna bring that to Shon Hart, because you're also a brother who is, doing this thing at a level where most people would be scared to take that jump, right? To start your own thing and to go into an arena that's controversial in some people's eyes, right? So just for people who don't know, you help fathers, right, who are dealing with different issues, right? I don't want to speak on everything you do. I'll let you speak for yourself, but talk about being sometimes the liaison between the legal system and the community, right? And having to be somebody who can rationalize the situation, talk to both sides, and because see what Zair's saying is we all deal with that. And everything he just was saying, I was resonating with it, because like I just shared with you brothers, like you work yourself to a position where this machine don't run as good if you're not pushing the buttons, right? So talk to being somebody who both sides having to earn their credibility, because if you too far on this side, people think, oh man, he over there with them people. If he too far on this side, you lose your access and your credibility. So speak to that and how you bridge the gap.
No, I appreciate what Zaire said, man. That's an area that we can all park at, right? Because we have been the study subjects for a very long time, and people have profited off of our plights, right? So when you talk about your ideas and how you capitalize off of that, that's brilliant, right? Like, so the space that I'm in, working with fathers specifically, we are research, bro. Like, people go to school, they do dissertations on the study of Black men, not just fathers. I'm talking about the study of Black men. They trying to study us. And I realize, I'm like, yo, bro, you're not going to eat off of me. This is my reality. My pain of my father not being present or whatever the case. Like, bro, you're not going to profit off of me, and I don't get to eat too. Right. So, so it's like, so what I've learned in my space, man, is to navigate both worlds. I can keep it 100 with those of my community who need resources, who don't trust them, and them who are afraid of them. So I just become that bridge, right? I just become it was the same thing when I was working in the prison, man. I was administrator, and I was able to talk to those administrators, and I was able to, shake hands and chop it up with those who were incarcerated. Because I had the best of both worlds, right? And it's the same thing in my space of working with these men. Like, most of the spaces I go to, they don't look like me, right? I used to be intimidated to sit at those seats. So it's extremely important in my space that we advocate for the voiceless, because most of the men that we serve or that look like us, bro, we're not going to the courthouse. We're not asking them for help, because many times we don't trust them, but like, bro, I don't know if you're going to lock me up or if you're going to create something. So we just stay away. Right. And so many men that I work with, bro, they could have had their situations resolved, but because we look at here in Michigan, I just found out that the Office of Child Support, Michigan is the only one that calls it friend of the court. And most men, they're like, bro, you ain't my friend. like, bro, like, when have you ever been my friend, bro? You know what I mean? So it's important, man. So what I do, man, I take advantage of this space, man. I take advantage of this space to be a voice to the voiceless, to advocate for men who need access to their children, and some of these dudes, man, they wild, right? Like, yo, I get it. but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have a voice. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't advocate to create strong families through fatherhood engagement, because a lot of time those men do not have a voice because they don't know how to talk. They may come to a meeting smelling like they, with weed or whatever the case, and they already shut out. And I'll give you one last story, man. In my program, I partnered with a local university. I'm not going to say the university, but I partnered with a university. And this is the thing. It was out of ignorance. It wasn't intentional. But I was at one of my groups, and in the group, this was an opportunity for the fathers that was meeting with their children for like the first time. They were engaged, right? And one of the fathers, he was on the side on his cell phone. And one of the ladies who was there from the university, I could see it in her eyes. Like, I could see it. She was like, Karen, she was like on her way running over there, like gonna cut into my man. Like, yo, you on your cell phone? Why you not chopping it up? Which like gonna really get it into him. So what I did, I saw it. I'm like, yo, don't do that. Don't do that. Why? Because my man is present. He was never present. So we need to celebrate him being present. And then over time, him being with other men like himself, he'll start being comfortable about being with his child. He was more nervous than the child because he's never been with the child. So he went to his phone, which was comfortable and safe, and that was his protection. He went there. So you have to be wise. So I'm like, yo, fall back. And it wasn't until like a month later, man, my man was engaging, was excited to be there, but he just didn't know how to be a father. Right. So, Zaire, what you're talking about, man, I appreciate you saying that. That's what I do in my space here, man, working with the courts and working with organizations that you have to know how to navigate, boy.
Yep. I like to say something to what Sean's saying too, is a lot of times they don't know how to deal with us in that space. They don't know what we've gone through, or how we have to create a mechanism of defense for ourselves in all of these areas. The last job I had was in 2001. I worked in a group home, a boys group home. They would age out at 21, and they fired me from that group home after 1 year. They fired me because I was the only person that those young boys in there would respond to. They would send them home on the weekends on home visits, and you're supposed to come back on Sunday.
Yep.
Some of them would never come back. They would call me at home to go get them, and I'd go right to their house and be like, "Come on," and they wouldn't give me no problem. They would give them problem. I mean, physical altercations, all kinds of things, and it was just in the way that you communicated with them, the way you spoke to them, and the care, the honest to God caring that you had for them, and a lot of them were like, a lot of them were incarcerated in juvenile homes. They'd come home, they'd age out of the group home at 21. They kick them in the street. They give them out $200, and that was it. But they cared. Like I would bring them home in the wintertime when it would snow. I would pack up the van with all of them, and I'd make them shovel the snow in my house. And they were so cool with it. They were happy because there was a caring in there. Like it wasn't, it was a thing. It was a back and forth. And so that kind of, and I saw that, and I didn't come from that field. I just ended up at that job, but seeing how that resonated with young black boys, somebody who really actually cared about them. One of them, when they aged out, came to live with me. He lived with me for 3 years before he went on and started a life. Now he's married and all these things. But had there not been a bridge, because so many of the other ones, I couldn't take them all in, but so many of the other ones didn't have it. But it's so important. But the other side that worked at the job, they fired me after a year. 1 year later,
did you a favor. They did you a favor, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was. I actually appreciated that space, because those young boys in there, like I almost saw myself at that time, so I could easily get with it, and I wasn't there. It didn't just look like a paycheck. And the thing about, and too, Sean, especially people in the system, they know if you really care about them or not.
Absolutely, bro.
They get it from the minute you come around. They know if you just there for the paycheck, because sometimes when they would act out, they would scream like, "You only here to get paid. You don't care."
Yep.
They would always say that. That would be the first thing to come out of their mouth. So when they did actually find somebody that cared about them, it was a different ball game. You could quiet the house down. They'd be rumbling. They'd be tearing the house up. I'd come in on my shift and everything would get calm. And it just and because that type of control, because they weren't providing that kind of leadership or that kind of love to them. So they were just like, hey, we can't have this guy here. And you know, it was unfortunate, but it's the truth. And you find good people in those spaces that they remove because of those things. Like they'd rather have those boys in there trying to tear the place down, and they could lock them down, medicate them, do this, do that. But instead, if they can just be themselves and able to understand where we're coming from, that's really what they didn't want. And that it opened my eyes so much after that. I was like, this system is not really set up to do nothing for them. It's just set up to house them for as long as they can collect the money.
Dude, listen to this, man. My last meeting, my last meeting when I was with the prison.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm telling you, my last meeting, bro, we had a meeting because our numbers was decreasing. Listen to this, man. I'm in the room, bro, in this meeting where they're talking about our numbers decreasing. What are we gonna do to increase our numbers so we won't be in jeopardy? We won't be in jeopardy of our facility closing
at the prison.
Yep,
at the prison, bro.
The group home was the same way. As soon as a bed was empty, they were like, "We got to get this bed full. We got to get this
bed filled. Let's go.
This bed's got to be full." They never wanted a bed to be empty for too long.
Wow. Yes, couldn't be empty, bro. Had to find a body. To find a body.
Nah, man, that's real, and that's something that I want to get into. We're gonna and COish, we're gonna definitely get your perspective, because being somebody who talks to the youth through social media, I want to know how you feel. But before we do that, right, I wanted to make an announcement. We have the debut tonight of the Boss Talk Nation trailer, something we worked on with fellow ESA member, my man Kenny. He's watching right now, KJ Media in the building, and something special that we've been working on. So I wanted to, try to bring that to the table, and then we're going to reset the table, and we're going to start with CEO-ish. So let me share that for a second, and then we're going to get to the business.
So you want to be a boss. You're going to be a legend. You're going to go down as one of the greats. Well, welcome to the place where all of that begins. See, for me, I started off in the booth. I was writing rhymes. I was coming up with concepts, and we were putting in long nights to make those dreams come true. But along the way, I learned some lessons. That the real power in the game wasn't in front of the camera. It's behind the camera. And as I learned how to go from an entertainer into an entrepreneur, a burning desire to spread that knowledge to others who were just like me started to grow. And then it started to bubble until it overflowed. And the first thing I did was go find other bosses, other people who were like-minded and had a vision and wanted to change the culture forever, to provide the information and the resources and the network necessary to change the game. So we formed Boss Talk Nation. CEOs from different area codes. People who are the greats and the goats in their lane. And we put it all together. Because like the great Chuck D said, it'll take a nation of millions to hold us back. And now that we got Boss Talk Nation, you're going to need a lot more than that.
All right, we back. So that was the debut. Big shout out to my man Kenny. We've been working on that for a couple of weeks, getting it right. You know what I'm saying? And we appreciate it. Definitely gonna be seeing that again and again and again and again. Well, let's reset the table, right? My man CEO Ish, you somebody who talks to the youth. And I see you on the gram. You got the Audis, you got the cash, you know what I mean? You living the good life. But talk about how you use those tools to get attention, because I also, coming from the world of entertainment, understand that you have to have a little bit of sizzle on the steak.
That's it.
Right. And so talk about that and how they see that, they see the money, they see the cars, but then you bring them in with that information and say, this is how I'm getting this money legal, and you could get it too.
No doubt. First of all, as a black man, that's extremely important because there's a stereotype about us, unfortunately. And I'm going to get to that, but I wanted to piggyback on something we were talking about earlier and kind of lead into that. As black men, we're always the underdog. We start off as the underdog. And when you're a leader, like we're all leaders, you kind of start off, we're visionaries, right? So a lot of times when you tell people, your goals and your dreams starting off, people don't believe in you, right? And when people don't believe in you, it's not always, it's not for them to always see the vision, right? It's for you to see the vision, right? And as long as you see the vision, that's all that matters. And when those things manifest years later, people, sometimes they come back around and they understand, right? So I believe that everything that happens in our life, like God won't put you through everything that you go through is for a reason and a purpose, right? So, sometimes it's divine preparation for your destination, right? So everything that we go through for a reason. So a lot of times we go through bad situations and why do I go through this? Why do I go through that? But the universe, God, is allowing us to go through these things to get us to where we need to go, right? And you mentioning a black man in different scenarios. Well, same thing. I've always been an underdog, right? Now I'm winning, right? But years ago, people didn't believe in my goals. People didn't believe in my dreams, right? But now it's happening. And now those same people are like, oh, wow, he's really doing it. Oh, he's doing that. And he's working with celebrities. But I saw that when I was a kid. I saw that when I was 14. And people who have leadership qualities tend to be visionaries, right? And we're visionaries. We see things years in advance. That's why people create companies that make multi-millions of dollars, all this money, right? Because they were able to see things before it happened, right? And I feel like as a leader, that's really important, right? And not everyone's meant to be a leader, right? And some people don't understand that. So they're going to laugh at you. They're not going to understand your dream. They're not going to understand what you're bringing to the table because it's not for them to understand. Martin Luther King, for example, right? He came with something different, right? Like we shouldn't be treated this way, right? But they laughed at him because that's the norm. So people who are visionaries, people who are leaders, go against the grain. We're rebels. We go against the status quo. We go against what's the norm, right? So to bring it back, right? So some people may say, oh, you're a show off. You don't know. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to use the tools to get attention. You have to use the things that you have in your toolbox for a bigger goal, right? We all have a purpose. We all have a goal, right? And it's important to use your platform, whatever your platform is. Everyone has a story. So if you were in prison, right, and you change your life, you may have to, and you go into prison reform, right? That's your platform. Everyone's story happens for a reason. God will use your story to tell a bigger story. We all have a story. And so sometimes it's good to be thankful for the things that we go through because it gives us that platform to tell a story. So me, yes, I stunt and I like to show off, but it's not really the purpose of showing off. I do it for motivation. I do it for the purpose of like, I did this, you can too. And not only can you, but I want you to do it better than me. I want you to do it bigger than me because if I can do it, you can do it, right? Like the mirror effect, right? So I think, especially of people of color, we need to stop being jealous of each other or being envious of each other or there's a competition. There's no competition, right? Because we're family, we're brothers, right? We all come from the same place as black men, right? We come from the same place. So we need to understand that, like, we need to start being like other cultures and working together and building communities, strong communities. Every other culture sticks together. You'll never see two Asian people fighting or going against each other. So I think as black men, we need to come together and have that same unity. And with that being said, that's why I use my platform fully for motivation. Like, oh, you see, I got this nice car, but you can manifest that car too. And these are the steps that you have to take to get that. And these are the steps you have to take. Oh, get your credit right. Do this, do that, to build your platform. And if I did it, you can do it. And not only can you do it, but you can do it 7 times bigger than I did it. So that's kind of the approach I take.
Definitely, man. And you just dropped a lot of knowledge and a lot of information right there. And I want to commend you because as somebody who speaks to the youth, you're definitely an interpreter for the OGs, right? So because I think there's a generational thing going on as far as the younger people, which all of us and none of us are old on the panel, right? So we could all remember just 5 minutes ago, we was out there, you know what I mean, didn't want to hear nothing, right? You think you know everything until life, put you in certain predicaments. Like, look, bro, I'm gonna go this way. You feel me? So I can relate to everything everybody said tonight. So back from Rashon talking about going to school and having the fatigues on, right? So my freshman year, I went to University of Memphis. So it's the same thing. It was a culture shock. It was a little more soul than Wichita, though. I'm gonna keep it funky with you, right? We had Bill Street and all that. But I had the fatigues, right? That's the time Mobb Deep was out. So one of the dudes on the team, his name is Mike McKenzie. He ended up playing in the league for about 8-9 years, went to the Saints. So he was like, yo, man, you get that jacket. He was from Florida. So he was like the star of the team. So he's like, yo, where you get that jacket? I was like, this is my dude. What you mean where I got it? Like, this is my jacket, right? He said, yo, I buy it off you. You feel what I'm saying? How much you want for that jacket? And I was like, you know what? You can have the jacket. You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't even about the money because he was genuine. He was somebody who really during that time, y'all all know we can discuss it, go around the panel. But when you knew and you come to the campus, man, you in there with the big dog. So we all might have been big dogs where we come from, but when you step on them campuses, man, it's like, damn, you feel me? Like when I got my playbook, the first thing the dude said to me was, he said, yeah, when you get to the pros, yeah, they'll give it to you early. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you your playbook early, right? And I didn't even hear nothing else he said. All he said was, when you get to the pro, yo, I just got here. Like literally, my mom's and them just dropped off my stuff in the dorm room, and he talking about the pros. But it just flipped my mind to the possibilities. And then when you start meeting people and greeting, and what happened was, they had make all the freshmen kind of like, it's almost like so-called hazing. You got to sing or do something, right? Everybody had that night where you got to show whatever talent you got, right? So I got up there. I'm like, yo, I rap. So they like, yeah, all right, you rap, whatever, right? So when I got up there and I started spitting, it's like, yo, this dude really could rap. Like I ain't know, like, yo, he nice. You feel me? So ever since then, between the jack and just being myself, like you said, you know what I mean, Rashon, people gravitate to you because they know you real. You feel me? And then you got your own flavor. So it was a lot of experiences with that. And the same thing that Zaire was saying as far as making yourself so valuable that they got to keep coming back for more sauce, right? And I think that plays into some of the stuff that Deandre and Shon speaks about. And I want to get Deandre's perspective on this one question. The next topic I wanted, before we get ready to close out and everything, is I wanted to bring up, we couldn't have a panel of brothers and not talk about our role with our women in society, right? So you have a message of demand greatness. And I think there's an opportunity in this decade right here for a lot of our brothers to elevate, right? Our sisters, our wives, our daughters, our nieces, all of them, they're elevating. And right now we're in an era where we have the Vice President of the United States being a person of color, right? The movement is way more, I would say, accessible to the average person in this era than maybe in the last decade or so, maybe through the Obama years. That was the start of it. And now we have active, participation, as far as the whole community really being woke. So speak to the fact of how men and young men in particular who's growing into manhood can become somebody who a woman would want to be with, and that can be an example for other young brothers. That it's not about being a player. It's not about really just being out here doing all this foolishness we see on the gram, but it's about leadership when you got people depending on you to bring that paycheck home. And how do you get to that from where we all were as men? You feel what I'm saying? I wanted you to speak to that. I think you're muted. It's all good. We live.
We live.
Yeah.
That's how we do it, man. It's live TV. Zaire know what I'm talking about.
All day.
The light stand might fall in the back. You gotta keep rolling. All right. So did you hear the question?
Yeah, he's still muted.
Still muted. All right. So we're gonna swing it back to Shon, and then we're gonna go to Rashon, and then we'll come back around to Zaire.
You said me or Rashon?
Yeah, we're gonna go to Shon first, and then we're gonna go to Rashon.
Oh, okay. So your question is like, could you rephrase the question for me? Say it again.
As men, right, in our community, we're leaders not only in the community but also in our household.
Yeah.
So, what advice can you give to a young man that is just learning about relationships and he's seeing all these guys? Like I said, CO-ish is an exception because he has a message, but they seeing all these rappers and all these people flexing on the gram, and they got all these women and they chasing them, but that's not really manhood. That's not really, it's a part of it. I'm not gonna lie, you know what I mean? We're all men, but as you grow and mature, it's more about that leadership. So, just some advice to a young man on how they can be a better example and what really manhood is when people are depending on you.
Yeah, man, that's a good question, right? So my thing is, number one is that what I say a lot is don't watch my highlight reel, right? What you see on social media, bro, is a highlight reel. I pick and choose if I'm going to show my pain. I pick and choose if I'm going to show you my flaws. Because you don't know what happens as soon as we get off here. You don't know what's about to crack when I get off of here. You don't know what's really going on, right? So all that stuff that we see on social media, a lot of that is fool's gold, right? People can see me winning, see me with my wife doing all of this stuff, and I'm winning, and I'm traveling here, and I'm doing all that. Like, yo, I am blessed, bro. But this is the thing, man. I paid a price for it. And I'm not talking about with my money. I'm talking about with heartache and pain and losses and a whole lot of stuff. And I had to discover who I was, because how I viewed myself, bro, wasn't sexy. People didn't know that. They like, yo, he winning. But bro, I battled with low self-esteem, man. To be in another room with another black man that's doing really well and successful, brother, at a point in my life, bro, that wasn't cool to me, man. I was jealous of him. I was like, the only reason why he have that is because he's selling dope or he did this. I had to justify why he's successful. So being a panel like this, where today, bro, I embraced this, but it was a moment in my life, bro. I had a problem with this. It was okay for white people to have it. I'm just keeping it 100. You asked me, right? So when you talk about being a real man, bro, it start with me working on me. I can't be the husband or the father that my family need me to be until I work on me, bro. So you have to work on you. Don't get caught up in our highlight reel. You need to work on you, bro. Work on you.
That's real. Now we're going to take it to Rashon. As somebody from education, you've seen it all, and it's the same question. Like, where do you see us? Like, we had Tank on a couple months ago, and we were talking about the stigmatization of vocational education and how we do the academics and we all, take the pictures, and whether it's our kids or our nieces and nephews or whatever, we're proud in that moment. But student loan debt is kicking a lot of people behind, and you don't have a financial plan. And I see just personally, I'm just going to speak personally for a minute. I've had a touch of both, right? We were lucky enough to get athletic scholarships to get us started. But when I went back, right, and tried to go get my master's and everything else, and they hit you with them unsecured loans, that's real. You feel me? So if it's like, hey, you want to take it past that step, you're going to have to come out your pockets, or you're going to owe me some money on the back end. So vocational training for some people, where people stigmatize and say nobody's bragging about my son's an electrician or my son's a plumber or whatever, but they're making figures right now when a lot of guys are going to college majoring in pimpology, right? You understand what I'm saying? Empty credits and come out and don't even have the skills to get a job. So let's speak on that.
Man, I got a good story for you, right? So, high school principal, I served in that role for 9 years. And I can definitely say that it was one of the most challenging opportunities that I had, but most rewarding opportunity that I had as well. And just as I mentioned earlier, the impact that I was able to have on the lives of young people, I mean, it was just extraordinary. I can't even put it into words. I mean, the amount of influence, and, these kids would come to me and look for the answers and the guidance and the support. And I had that, I was able to do that. And because of the influence I had and the role that I served, I made sure that I was very careful and strategic in everything that I did and everything that I said to be of an influence to those young people. And we talk about the vocational aspect and kids going that route and college debt and things of that sort. You know what? I dared to talk about that. There wasn't a lot of principals that dared to talk about that, right? Everyone was pushing college, go to college, do this, do that, and the other. You're only going to be successful if you go to college. This is like the end goal in mind, is to go to school, get to college, and then that starts your life, that starts the career. But you know what? I decided I was going to take a different spin on it and promote the vocational aspect as well, because one young man said to me, I never forget it, Al Tariq Finning said to me, he said, Mr. Mickens, and this is after he graduated. So 2 years until my principalship, I was the same way. I have to admit, I was promoting college. This young man left, graduated. He came back and said to me, and I had him come back and speak to the youth because he was a mechanic. He was doing great things in the field. So I wanted him to come back and speak to the youth because I had some young men that were interested in being a mechanic, auto mechanic, right? So he comes, he says, Mr. Mickens, you know what? I thank you for the opportunities that you allowed me and afforded me when I was here in school. He goes, you were a great role model. You were someone I looked up to. I didn't have a father figure at home. You served in that role, so forth and so on, right? And I was so excited to hear that from him, because oftentimes we diminish ourselves and we don't see ourselves in that light, but it takes for someone else to tell us how important we are to them for us to fully understand, man, we really were important. We really had influence in this young person's life, right? So fast forward. So he told me, he goes, Mr. Mickens, you really promoted the college 4-year, 2-year experience. He said, you didn't really talk about the vocational experience as much as I would have liked for you to talk about. He goes, really, that's something that I really had passion for, and you didn't talk about it a lot. And I sat there, I thought about it, I said, man, Al, I said, you're right. You're right. I didn't talk about that much. He goes, because I didn't have any guidance on it. The guidance counselors didn't talk about it. So I kind of felt like an outcast going that route. And I never talked to you about it because I thought you would be upset at me if I said that I was going into school for a trade and become a mechanic. I thought you would shoot that down and said, absolutely not. Go to college. You forget about that. Do your 4 years. Go into a career that way. You'll do much better. And I said, man, I never talked about the kid. I never talked to the kids about that at all. And it wasn't until he brought that up that I said, man, I need to do a better job at that. And I promised him, I said, going forward, this is something that I'm going to promote. I'm going to make sure kids understand that not only will you have an opportunity to go to college, right? 2-year, 4-year, whatever you decide to do with that route, but also here's another avenue that you can take. Here's another outlet that you can explore. And I started to do that. And when I started to do that, I found that kids had more interest in school, right? I found that it would be easier for them to come talk to me about some of their career paths and some of their choices. The same with their guidance counselors. It just opened up the floodgates for deeper conversation with regards to what they wanted to pursue life after high school. They didn't feel boxed in. They didn't feel caged in like it's just one way to go and that's it. That's the end all be all, it's college. So no, we opened it up. We opened up a can of worms. And then we saw kids really coming to school because they valued that. They valued our input. So we started to send kids to vocational school, college, trade school, you name it. And that's when our graduation rate just flew off the charts, right? Because kids knew they had something to look forward to. They weren't just coming to school to hear the same old from us, right? It was like just, rote memorization. Okay, college. We're drilling it, beating into their head. This is what they have to do. Now it's like, no, we want you to explore. We want you to go into a field that you feel most comfortable in, that you can go and excel in. And that's what we decided to do. So we had a lot of kids by the time I left as that principal, which was 8 years in. I mean, we had 25% of our kids going to vocational school. Right. And those kids now are in careers as electricians. Listen, I had one of my students came to my house 2 years ago. He's an electrician. Came to my house, Mr. Mickens. I said, look, I need someone to come put up this light for me, right? I'm not touching. I'm going to get electrocuted. I'm not an idiot. I'm not touching that. Let me bring someone in that's going to do that. I called my former student. He came. He did it for free. I gave him something. I said, how much would you charge someone to do that if it weren't me? He goes, Mr. Mickens, just walking into somebody's house, that's $200 right there. I'm just walking into your house from off the street, ring the doorbell. Hi, that's $200. That's before I even get to working on whatever it is I got to work on. Then I'm charging you $50, $60, $75 an hour. I said, wow, that's unbelievable. And here's a young man, right, that didn't have a clue, right? He didn't want to go to college, but because we opened the floodgates and we gave him opportunities to explore different avenues and different possibilities, he's now an electrician making more money than I'm making, right? So that's just an example. So we didn't shut that out. The vocational aspect, we promoted that as much as we possibly could, and kids really they gravitated towards that. And now those kids see us as the saviors because we didn't just promote college. We didn't box them in. And before, I felt like we did that. We really boxed them in, and we hurt a lot of them because of that. And a lot of them may look back and say, man, it's because of you, Mr. Mickens, that I have all this college debt, right? But I often look at myself as an example, too, with college debt. But, I promoted, like you said, Jay, really the vocational school and trade school. That's huge, man. That's huge. And we have to definitely talk to our kids about that, right? Whatever they're interested in, we can't shut them out. We have to continue to, reel them in and have them go down that pathway that they're most comfortable in and that they know that they can excel in. We can't put all of our thoughts and living through them vicariously because we want them to go to college and be pro athletes, whatever. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They want to go to school to become plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and so forth and so on. And we have to support them with that. So I do it all the time. And I tell the principals that I coach now that you have to make sure that you include that into your schools as well. You can't just promote the college. You can't throw that down their throats because some kids, they don't have an interest in that. But if they have an interest in a trade, make sure you tap into that.
Right, definitely. And that's powerful because you can make money the rest of your life. And speaking of technology and all of the opportunities, I wanted to shine a light on my brother Zaire, and then I'm going to let CEO Ish and Deandre have their last words before we wrap up. But I could not finish the show without giving the public a sneak peek about what you got going on, man, over there at Stolen Dean. Because this brother showed me something a week ago, man, that was unbelievable, right? So I'm on the official Stolen Dean Instagram, and I believe you said it's the video with the brother holding the shirt, right?
Yeah. It's the one with just the shirt. You just see that black ball.
Okay, I got you. I'm getting ready to share it right now. This is something cool. I think everybody's gonna like, and definitely want to support. So let me just show that right now. So we're on the page, and I believe
first one. Yeah.
All right, so everybody watch this. This is official Stolen Dean. Make sure y'all check him out on Instagram, Stolen Dean Official, my brother Zaire. And we about to show you something you ain't never seen before. Let's get to it. So just talk them through it real quick as far as
in commemoration of the centennial.
So what this is
Stolen
really
Dean
quick.
presents a historical timeline.
Let me tell you. So this is augmented reality embedded in clothing. So one of the brands that I'm relaunching is Stolen Dean, and you guys might remember Stolen Dean and the throwback jerseys and all of those things. So they've been quiet for some time, and again with the ideas and the content, it came to me. And I got the opportunity to relaunch it. And last year was 100 years of the Negro Leagues. So I went back in thinking content. I wasn't even thinking clothing when I'm bringing Stolen Dean back. So everything was about content. It was about storytelling. And Stolen Dean historically is one of the only 3 companies still in existence with a direct lineage to the Negro League. Stolen Dean used to make the Negro League uniforms. So every uniform that the Negro League players made, Stolen Dean manufactured. So what we've been doing right now, we launched a capsule with 5 pieces of clothing, and each piece of clothing, this being the first one, is a collaboration with a black streetwear designer, and it's a collaboration with a notable personality. So that young brother in that baseball is the poet Black Ice from Def Comedy Jam, and he's the voice of all the Russell Simmons audio books and whatnot. He's very, very well known and respected poet, and we have him, and he created a poem around the inception of the Negro League. So what we kind of do is tell the story of the Negro Leagues through these patches. So our next drop will happen in another month or so, and we'll have another notable personality, and they'll tell another story. A lot of people don't know that from the Negro Leagues, so many things came from the Negro Leagues that people don't know. Playing baseball at night came from the Negro Leagues because they wouldn't let them play in the day because they reserved the stadiums for the white players. Stealing base came from the Negro Leagues. There was no stealing base, and they dubbed it aggressive play. Aggressive play is what they said the black people did, and that was stealing base. Wearing baseball helmets, wearing shin guards came from the Negro Leagues. There was none of that prior to that, as well as like the farm system right now that exists from Latin America. The Negro League players, when they couldn't play here, went to South America to play baseball, and they taught them to play baseball. And then those Latin players came back and played in the Negro Leagues. So that whole farm institution that you have of the Latin players is directly, a catalyst came from the Negro League. So there's so many stories in that space that we're trying to cover. And again, like, our story doesn't get told. Nobody tells our story the right way. They tell bits and pieces of it. So in our relaunch of Stolen Dean now, we're trying to incorporate the realities of these stories. We're working on a full documentary as well that speaks to quite a few other scenarios that come out of the Negro Leagues, which are really economics. And really quick, I'll tell you, like, Jackie Robinson playing baseball is the second integration of baseball, because baseball was all black people were already playing professional baseball prior to Jim Crow, and then they stopped them from being able to play baseball. And then Jackie Robinson playing baseball wasn't really that, hey, we want to see this black guy in here, but it was, hey, these black people fill up these stadiums and buy out all the hot dogs and all the soda and all the popcorn, and what we need to do is get those black folks in this stadium with us as well. So bring Jackie Robinson over here, and it economically crushed the Negro Leagues because they started to pull all that talent from the Negro Leagues over. But that's a story. And one of the biggest stories, and I wanted to speak about something that Shon said, but one of the biggest things that came out of the Negro Leagues, and every single athlete on this planet should thank the Negro Leagues, every athlete of every color. Free agency came from the Negro Leagues, because prior to that, if you played on a professional team, you could not be traded unless the owner wanted to trade you. The Negro Leagues are the only teams that allowed you to play team for team. Some people played on two teams a season. And so from there was a brother named Kurt Flood, and you can look him up. And Kurt Flood actually went to court to so he can control where he went. And the brother ended up losing everything. He died broke, he lost his family, everything, because he gave up his entire career for this lawsuit. And the lawyers asked him, if you go through with this, you're going to be done. And he said, if this helps the next generation, then I'll do it. And he died destitute, but he created free agency that exists in every sport today. There would be no free agency if he didn't do it. So there's a lot of those kinds of stories that never gets told.
That's powerful, bro.
Yeah.
That's super dope, man.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah,
That's super dope, bro.
Yeah. So I'm trying to. So what I'm doing. So in relaunching Stolen Dean, which is a 123-year-old company, now it's helmed by five black people, and it was around in 1898. There was no black people around in control of anything. So our pathway to the new narrative right now is more some stories, some content, and leading off with this, I think is the exact way that we come into the field. And one other thing, I wanted to speak to what Shon was saying and what Rashon was saying. Shon was saying about working on yourself first. Like, that's super important. I always tell people, I use the analogy of, when you fly and they say, when the mask comes out, you put yours on first, then the child, then whoever else is with you. If you don't have yours on, you can't do nothing for anybody else. Your first instinct would be to put it on them. But then if something happens to you, how do you take care of them after that? So that resuscitation of yourself, that time to hone on who you are and build you up is what makes everything else strong. Because especially if you are the leadership in the family's only as strong as that leadership. So you do have to build yourself up, and sometimes you have to take away a little bit of time from everyone else so you can put it back into yourself, so that you can then reinvigorate them as well. So that's important, and I think Shon hit that on the head. And dealing in energy, because I'm a person that, I get next to a person, I feel them. It could be I've had situations where some money on the table, but it wasn't right. And I try to move away from those. I try to stay away from them. And I feel like, it's supposed to be. I don't feel like it's a missed opportunity. I feel like that's how the universe put it together. Everything's not supposed to work, even though it looks like it's supposed to. It's not. Everything's not supposed to work out. And so I've come to realize that after a while, that you got to kind of hone in on who you are and get a little in touch with yourself. And when you feel it's not right, it's not right. And a lot of the young brothers, I think, that get caught up in these things, a lot of them know it's not right, but they don't listen to themselves, and they continue on the path. And then it goes, and that's why you get those spots, and they sit in the courtroom and cry, or they tell on each other, because they didn't really want to be in that place in the first place, but they didn't listen to themselves, and they didn't take that bit of information that their own self was giving them and really listen to it. So I'm super big on what Shon was saying. It's really like, it's nothing you could do for anybody else if you can't get it done for yourself. And that's
for real.
Yep.
That's
and
real.
Yep, definitely. And what Rashon was saying, I'll end off real quick. Like the vocational aspect, I think is spot on. My mother was a teacher her entire life, and she said everybody's not made for college. That was her thing all the time. And you do have to understand that the college system is a business, and they really do. That's why you come there and they give you all of these things: credit cards, unsecured loans, all these things. They set you up to be in the system, but they don't set you up to be able to manipulate the system. They don't. And if you look at the biggest people outside here that are able to craft and manipulate the system, a lot of them don't have college backgrounds. What they do have is the notion and ability to solve problems. What's a problem out here? How can I solve that problem? And then that's how they move on. If you look at any of these things out here, from technology platforms on down, they are all speaking to a problem. And when you go to school, they don't teach you necessarily to seek problems to repair. They give you textbook layouts, and sometimes that is not enough. That is definitely not enough for you to be able to navigate in a world that, how can you teach me this book and the world doesn't operate by this book? This country doesn't operate by this book. So you are ill preparing me to be ready to go into this workforce, to go into this society and be productive. You are ill preparing me, and you are charging me to ill prepare me. And you're putting me in debt to ill prepare me. So now I'm ill prepared, in debt, and now you own me because I'm stuck with you. And so that becomes this cycle that people sit in for so long. And it's good to have, when you have brothers like ourselves and we've kind of seen where that's at, we can kind of help the next step. And I applaud Rashon for being able to be like, yo, you need to do this, because there are so many opportunities out here that you never even have to touch school to be a part of. That's right. But if they don't tell you about it, you'll never know about it, and they'll keep it to themselves. And that's a big part of the game.
Nah, definitely, man. I mean, you definitely dropped jewels, and I want to salute you, bro, because This is a brother I've known for maybe 15 years, and we've talked. You know, we go out to do our things, different corners of the globe. But every time I talk to this brother, it's solid, and he's next level, and he's big bro on a different level because he know my grind from the music days.
Mhm.
Now, I wanted to touch on one more brother before we close out tonight. We're gonna let Deandre give us the benediction tonight, but I could not skip over my brother CEO Ish, man. He doing big moves. When I first of all, let me time out real quick. I gotta turn this up. You see what the name of the show is, right? Right? It's Boss Talk, bro. So when we got these people up, we bring in real bosses. This brother got the 2025 technology, right? We got people putting people through school and mentoring people, and they come back, and now they professionals charging $200 an hour just to walk in your door. We got Shon Hart helping fathers out here get their family back, get their life together. We got my man Deandre motivating the people, and then we got the IG superstars and the influencers and the tastemakers like my man CEO Ish. So I'm gonna just share his highlights real quick and let him speak on it, and then we're gonna get to Deandre before we close out. But I had to show my man some love real quick. So this is an article from Yahoo about serial entrepreneur CEO Ish. So we're gonna share this real quick, and then we're gonna show what's going on with him. So speak to the people right now about how this came about and what's going on with the line that you spoke of before, the Blessinaire Apparel.
Yeah, so Blessinaire Apparel, it means blessed millionaire. It's a word that I trademark, and it's how I live my life. I always tell people I'm a blessed millionaire because, like I talked about earlier, you can have everything in the world as it pertains to money, but if you don't have blessings, if you don't have family, if you don't have a life that's worth having, it doesn't matter. So it's not just everybody wants to be rich, everybody wants to get money. Who cares about all that? You want to have structure. You want to have a family. You want to have, certain different things besides just money. So I created Blessed Millionaire. I trademarked it. It's a clothing line. We're on VH1 right now. Shouts out to DJ Envy. He's wearing it on The Breakfast Club. JoJo Simmons. Some of the biggest celebrities are wearing it. Blessinaire. If you check out the Blessinaire Instagram, we're just pushing the line right now. Like I have a sales team. We go out, we push the line on TV, and we market it. So I'm very proud of Blessinaire Apparel. I also have CEO Status Quo, which is so. What I'd like to do is I like to create companies and businesses that's. If you go on the bio, you'll see it.
Okay, I got you. So yeah, so just talk about being a CEO real quick. That's on, that's in the. Okay, I got you. That's in that space and being somebody who has, first of all, I just wanted to commend you. Definitely dope feed, dope visuals. You're telling a story. You see DJ Envy right here. We'll blow that one up so everybody can see.
DJ Envy and
Angela Lee. You know what that is. I ain't going to get him no publishing, so we're going to mute him out. But you see him wearing the apparel, right? And that's major. This is one of the biggest names in the game, rocking your brand. So just give a word of inspiration to the people that are just starting out that may not know which way to go, but they got, they're around their way. They're the dopest clothing person that we know that got the most style, and how you can translate that into a brand that people are rocking, that the world knows these people name.
Right. The biggest thing you want to do, I tell people this all the time, is just write it down. Get this is your best friend right here, right? You want one of these, right? Write it down. How do you get to a place that you've never been without a roadmap, right? Or a GPS? You can't. You don't know how to get there, right? So the way you get there is you write down the vision, you make it plain. You write down the vision, you write down your goals, and you work at it every single day. And if people aren't laughing at your dreams, if people are not laughing at your goals, it's not big enough. Like I tell people all the time, if I write down a goal, right, and you don't laugh at it, I might as well just do this and just throw it away. Because if you don't laugh at my goals, it's not big enough. You have to have goals that are so big that people tease you for it, people laugh at it. And then what you do is you work at that goal every single day. And the more you work at it, you're gonna get there. You know what I mean? But you just gotta work at it every single day. Just put one foot in front of the next foot. It might not happen overnight. It's not gonna happen overnight, but it will happen. Like a little bit, keep fighting, keep pursuing it, keep being persistent, right? And that's pretty much it. There's nothing anyone can't do, you know? Like God lives inside of us. You could do anything you want to do. You could build anything you want to build. There is no limits, right? There's no limits. That's why I love being an entrepreneur, because we have the ability to create. There's nothing you can't create. I mean, we have humans that went to, you know, outer space, and we have athletes that are doing all these amazing things. So how can you tell someone that they can't accomplish their goal? You see what I'm saying? You can't do that unless you're just a hater. You can't tell anyone what they can't do, right? So all you have to do is write it down, believe in it, and it's done. It's done. And
that's what it is, man. That's that powerful affirmations and you know, and just a law of attraction. And it definitely works. And I want to thank each one of you brothers, you know, before I let DeAndre take us out. Just do a quick sound test. 1 2 1 2. You good? You good, DeAndre? You still silent, bro.
Yo, this is what we gonna do. We not gonna shut my man out. What I'm gonna do, I'm about to call him.
Call him. That's it. That's the bros coming through,
technology.
That's
technology.
That's it. Coming through.
Answer the phone. Answer the phone.
I'm on the phone. You got me?
Got you.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All
All right, I don't know what's going on, but we ain't gonna let this stop the show.
Give him some of that powerful greatness to close out the show, man.
Really, man, greatness is all over my screen. When I look at this, man, I'm looking. One word that comes to my mind is exposure. Like when Rashon was talking about the trades, what I realized is that there's a lot of missed money in our community because we get focused on titles and like the front running positions and not the money making position. So for instance, we have all heard of what's going on right now. I guarantee you skilled trade people are going to put that city back together, those cities back together. All those issues with lighting, all those issues with plumbing, all those issues with construction, they're going to come in and restore that city. Those positions are necessary. There's money, that money's about to be cleaned up. When I take my daughter to movies, she's 11-year-old, and when the credits come down, I would make sure we didn't just go out the theater. I'll say, baby, take a look at every name that's on the screen. She's like, why, Dad? I was like, I need you to see all the people that it takes to make that one movie. It's just not the main actors, the main characters. Look what they're putting on there. Oh, those are the sound people. Oh, who's there? Those are the people that are stylists. And we started seeing everything. And it was like, there's so many more opportunities than what we do. Narrow-mindedly self-track doesn't allow us to fulfill our full potential. When we read books, I would say, okay, it takes more than an author to put the book together. Somebody's got to edit the book. If it has a picture, somebody has to illustrate the book. And from that day forward, every time, even she made a little paper book, she would say, illustrated and written by Savannah Grace Carter. Just expanding our minds. And so what I see on the screen, man, is I see six and make a difference in this world, and the importance of us living out our purposes that other young men behind us get to see that it's so many different ways that you can demand greatness. So many different ways that you can impact this world. So many different ways. It's not like even when we look at movies and everything, the longer careers are behind the camera. Ryan Coogler, who is actor, he directed Creed. And what I noticed is on Creed 2, he wasn't a director no more. He stepped up to EP. He's the executive producer. And then he brought another black man on to be the director. Because behind the scenes, you can make moves for yourself and for others. So if you're trying to get into football, it's cool you can play cornerback. It's cool you can play wide receiver. But if you become the GM, your career's longer. You can make more moves for people and make a bigger difference. And I just think that in our community, we need to expand what is considered success, expand what is considered possible. And so when I'm looking at all the different things that you guys are doing, it's inspiring me because what I realize is that through exposure, we're able to make a bigger difference. to show you that there are multiple lanes that we can, like on one track. I used to run track and field. There's 8 lanes, and you can win from any lane. And sometimes people get lane envy. They just, I want to be in this lane and win. I want to be in that lane and win. Well, guess what? You can win from any lane. And in fact, in track and field, in certain events, if you step outside of your lane, you get disqualified from winning. And it's just like that in real life. But when you step outside the lane you're born to be in, and you're in somebody else's lane, you ain't even going to find fulfillment. You never find happiness. So what I see on the screen right now is puzzle pieces. That all of us bringing our greatness to the table is a piece to the puzzle to paint a picture where the entire community can realize that we can do it. That we can make great things happen. Like, it's Black History Month, and this is Black History right here, because it's the small pieces that keep adding up. And I love that man, we are hands-on. So I hear bringing people into his home, and that man wouldn't be married right now, living on that track, if he didn't have another man pull him under his wing. Like, CEO, I can't wait to go check out and see what you're doing, because it sounds like you just are continuously open up lanes in people's minds on what's possible and how we can make connections. Brother Rashon out here as a principal is educating and open doors. I had a black male principal in my high school. It made a difference. Made me realize, there's another occupation that I can be just versus the ones that we narrow-mindedly say we can do. And of course, I know my brother Shon, we go way back. And Jay for bringing me on. I mean, I'm just excited because all the pieces of the puzzle continue to paint a picture of success, of possibilities. And all we got to do is demand greatness and make it happen. Even when your audio go out and you got to have your voice call in.
I do. I
can hear y'all. Fine, I'm mad. I got the thing in. These things hurting my ear and it ain't even working. I'm upset about that. I'm not gonna lie.
It's all good, man. But no, I want to thank each one of you brothers. It's very powerful to have you on tonight. We were able to definitely bring something to the people that I think is undeniable. Each one of you brothers are making waves that will have ripple effects for decades. And I mean that sincerely because, touching somebody's life and giving somebody that one spark of inspiration can change their life. And what I wanted to say tonight, and I'm going to let each one of you shout out your social handles, but what I wanted to say, my message tonight is I'm going to give you something that, kind of hit me about a couple months ago. And that's in life, when we talk about manhood, just to close off on it, sometimes you got to stop crying to the refs and you got to learn the plays. And what I mean by that is we're in a society right now where we don't get second chances very often. We may not get the first chance. So what each one of these brothers talked about is opportunity, seizing those opportunities or providing opportunities. And if you take that seriously and you study your playbook and you know the obstacles and you know the opposition is out there, they practice it every night, right? A good brother, I'm not going to say his name, but he's from downtown. He came downtown one night and he said something to us. He said, being on the streets, you got to be 365 and 0. That means you got to win 365 days out the year. They only got to win once. If you're 364 and 1, that could turn into decades in time, right? And he just rode off on his bike. And behind the scenes, we'll talk about who that was, but legendary dude from Elizabeth. But that's the kind of wisdom that we got. Right. And a lot of young brothers are not getting that. They're getting a lot of negativity. They're getting a lot of rah-rah, a lot of gunshots, a lot of this is cool until they close them bars. And then it ain't cool. So I just wanted to tell people, man, sometimes in life, you're not going to always get a fair shake. You're not always going to get every call, but you got to study your playbook so you won't have to cry to the refs because you'll know the plays. And if you know the plays, you see what Brady did a couple weeks ago when he knew the plays, all right? So we just going to leave that there. So each one of you brothers, shout out your I'll start with Rashon. Shout out any social, any links. Then we'll go to Shon, and we'll come around the panel to CEO, Zaire, and then end with Deandre.
Yeah, you can always get at me on Facebook and inbox me. anything that comes across your mind. If you need me to come talk to the youth, I'm talking to the people out there. If you need me to come talk to educators and principals and administrators, I coach them. I provide them with professional development, you name it. Also, if you need to get at me, you can hit my my Twitter handle. You can get at me through my website with the Teachers Union Association. What else do I have here, Jules? We're starting a Principals Point podcast, Jules, next month, and I'm definitely going to be hitting a couple of guys up on here to come jump on there. It's not just about education. We're taking the platform all across the globe, man. We're talking about politics. We're talking about sports, you name it, similar to what you're doing up here, Jules. And I'm going to get some of the brothers up there too, just to kind of expand this platform a little bit, to have some strong and positive brothers come out and talk about the things that they're doing within the communities and in their respective fields. All right. So that's where you can find me. And I look forward to touching base with a lot of you guys out there that are listening in.
Okay. All right. So Shon, give them your information.
All the social media platforms, just Shon Hart, just like you see my name, man. Shon Hart, SHON Hart, HART. That's my website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. So I'm easy to find, man. So go check me out.
Definitely. All right. So CEO Ish, I know it's at CEO_Ish, but let them know about the clothing line where they can reach everything else.
Yeah. So like you just said, for my brand, it's CEO Ish, CEO_ISHHH. You can go on YouTube and type in CEO-ISHHH. That's how it's actually spelled. You know how Instagram is. So you got the YouTube CEO Ish. You can Google me, CEO Ish, ISHHH. Tap in with me. I have the free mentoring group. I'm definitely going to tap in with a lot of you guys. So if you want to reach me, I'm very active on, like Shon said, you can find me always CEO-ish anywhere, but I'm very active on Instagram at CEO_ish. And then as far as the clothing line, it's Blessinaire. Little tricky to spell. It's BLESSIONAIRE.apparel on Instagram, or you can Google Blessinaire Apparel. Or you can find me on CEO Status Quo, which is one of my other companies, CEO_status_quo, QUO_.
Okay.
Let me say something. Can I say something before we get off here? If there's anybody watching this Black History Month, I don't know CEO Ish. This is my first time ever meeting him. So this is nothing that I'm indebted to him, owe a debt. But I just ask, man, if you're watching this, everybody go buy his shirt. Everybody, if you don't need it, if you don't rock it, buy it for somebody else. Be a blessing. Right. Be a blessing to somebody else.
Definitely.
I appreciate that. We support each other, especially people of color. Not the stereotype, but we do. We do. Appreciate that.
Definitely. That's what we need. Zaire, what we looking like? What's going on? Where the people? I know you all over. You in the future already, right? I try
to keep it simple though. Like, probably find me on Instagram and LinkedIn, maybe Facebook still, and it's my name, Zaire, ZAIRE, like the country, Baptiste, BAPTISTE, and I'm always open to collaborate with brothers, man. My ideas guy. I like people with ideas. I like to manifest ideas. So I'm happy to be on the platform, and I love to keep in contact with all the good brothers on here. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely, man. And for Deandre, his handle is at Deandre Carter _. So that's DEANDRECARTER _. And he definitely hashtag demand greatness. And if you want to reach the platform, if you want to be a boss, if you want to level up, you know where to reach me. At BossTalk Nation, hit me up. Just like it's spelled on the hat, BossTalk Nation. And you can hit us up on the boss line, 1-844-700-BOSS. This has been a great panel tonight. Each one of you brothers bring something special to the game, and I salute you. And we're going to be politicking moving forward. And I just wanted to say thank you to each one of you. And I hope the audience appreciate it, because I definitely, picked up a lot of jewels tonight. And with that being said, we're going to sign off with that Hype Magazine outro. Big shout to Just Jay. Big shout to the whole ATL. Our prayers and thoughts are with everybody in Texas right now. My man Jay Classic, they lost somebody out of their crew. this week with everything that's going on. It's a lot of people suffering over the weather and they don't have power and stuff like that. So I just wanted to say we with you, we salute you, and definitely it's a lot of people in Texas that's down with Boss Talk Nation. So when you see what you see, you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of people everywhere who rock with Boss Talk Nation. Now, thank you for rocking with us tonight. Let's get to that outro. And you know, like I said, man, you want to be a boss, 844-700-2677, 844-700-BOSS. See y'all next week. Peace.
As an artist, we should reflect the time.
Why you so talented?
Cause I'm black.
Why you so amazing?
Cause I'm black.
It's really important that we build characters so that people understand their story matters.
2 Chainz and I both are just really into good food.
And when you know you are royalty, you will only aim in life to be royalty.
We're doing it right now. I don't give a damn what they say about me. Yes, I called your ass out. I know I shouldn't be saying this kind of.
Shout out to Hype Magazine Network.
Shout out to the Hype Magazine Network.
Boss Talk, man. We for the people. We're going to see y'all next week. Each one of y'all brothers, enjoy y'all weekend. Be safe. And I'll see y'all next time, man.
Yeah.
Boss Talk Nation. Peace
All right,
out.
baby.